Hello everyone, welcome to Red Snapper. My name's MJ, and this is Snap or Pass, a series where we look at the new cards in Marvel Snap each week. This week, it's the new Season Pass card, Galacta, Daught of Galactus. She's a 4/6. Each turn, the first card you play at another location reveals with +3 power. I'm extremely excited for this new Marvel Rivals crossover season. If you're new, subscribe. You can skip to a chapter that most interests you below, or let's watch the whole thing together with me. We'll go on a journey and you can enjoy it. So, the Season Pass in general, you get this cool Marvel Rivals card back if you buy the Season Pass, as well as obviously Galacta, and these are the two paid variants that you get as well. So a really cool looking Hela and a really cool looking Doctor Strange. There's quite a lot of these variants that have like the Marvel Rivals style on them throughout the series, and these are also going to be available in the Spotlight caches as well. The artwork this season looks immense, so this is super exciting. Right, let's talk about Galacta herself though, moving on to the mechanics about the card. I think the archetypes she's going to fit into, well, I mean, to be honest guys, you'll see a lot of archetypes on screen here. I think she's going to be really flexible basically. I think she'll fit in just like a good card sort of style deck, a buffs deck alongside things like Fastos maybe. Move decks, they always want and appreciate the +3 power, even if you can do that on a late game Human Torch. I think that's going to be really valuable. Atlantis is all about playing cards alone at other locations, and Galacta sort of facilitates that. And Surfer, and I'm forgetting Zoo as well. I think Zoo might actually be a sideways beneficiary of Galacta. And I've also put in the little plug and play logo that we like on here as well. I think she'll generally fit well into decks, similar to how Gwenpool has fit into sort of as decks as a plug and play card. Galacta, very similar sort of card really. 4/6, generally able to pump out an additional 6 power. They're both probably really big and tall and eat the daughter of people who eat planets. No, not that last one. Anyway, so yeah, about the mechanics. Triggers the first time you play a card at another location. So we presume this is just once per turn. I actually thought that she triggered on 2 other locations, but I was politely corrected in Discord, so I really appreciate the Discord lot for that. And with Rampor Limbo, that could be 3 times total for +9 power, or just base, if you're playing her on turn 4 and there's 6 turns in the game, she's +6. So she's kind of like an equivalent stats of 4/12 if you do play in those other locations. Otherwise 4/9, not bad, and yeah. The power is added before the card is revealed, or as it's revealing. This is specifically said in her text. And actually, to be honest guys, I wouldn't be too surprised if there's other cards that get this update to their text. As we've seen, cards like Galacta and Aranya and Forge, they add the power before, whereas cards like, I don't know if it quite extends to Agony, but there's other cards which don't add it until after it's revealed. What's that recent card? Oh, was it Agony that doesn't add until us? Yeah, I might be getting confused, and this is all just very unhelpful. Anyway, pros. She's very flexible, one of the more flexible cards in the game. As I say, guys, I think she's going to be pretty similar to Gwenpool in that regard. You can pretty much stick her in anything as a decent, reliable 4-cost card. You're rarely not going to get at least the 3 power from her, making her a 4/9. Otherwise, you're certainly going to be aiming to get that extra power from her. Both turns, and then she'll be a 4/12, equivalent stats of 4/12, which is good. And she also has respectable base power. So in the right deck, she can even be a good play on the final turn. If you've got that final turn of 4 energy on Galacta, it still leaves you with 2 energy. That could be something like Athena, and it's a lot of extra power to pump out. That's like an extra, what, 6? So that's like 4/12. Yeah, that's kind of 4/12. That's actually 6/12, isn't it, really? That's actually kind of bad. I should have picked a better example. But what I'm trying to say is, it's with a lot of recent cards, we've said that they don't work on the final turn of the game because they're activates or whatever. You can still get use out of Galacta if you need to. Cons. She indicates where you're likely to play your cards in the next turns. So she has that element of your opponent kind of knows what you're going to do and kind of knows where they're focusing. Kind of knows where you're focused. That's basically empty. Brilliant. Absolutely choking, dying. I'm choking, dying. and not even my empty glass can help me. Where you are planning to play and benefit from the extra power may not be where you always play due to pressure from your opponent. So you play your Galacta down, something crazy, drastic and different that you weren't expecting might happen on that very same turn, and it means that you now have to change your plans and you can't play where you were planning to play your other cards, yada yada, etc. Anyway, let's move on to the locations, both favourable and otherwise, for Galacta. She's got a long list of good locations, a couple of bad ones. So Shuri's Lab is going to be definitely strong because the card that you play following Galacta gets +3 power before it reveals. It means Shuri's Lab is going to double that to +6, so that's really good. Limbo gets you basically an extra 3 power out of it, the extra value. Similarly, Elysium does the same if you can get Galacta down a turn earlier. Krakoa is going to be really nice if you can manage to get the Galacta out on 4, and then you play something really with a huge power on 5. Hopefully that's a good play into Krakoa, giving you something massive on turn 6. Deep space can sometimes be a difficult location to get power into, so Galacta is going to be able to boost that up by 3 power if you do have to sacrifice something into it. But my favourite has got to be Bar Sinister, right? Locking off Bar Sinister with Galacta is sort of fine if the other cards you're playing in the other locations are getting +12. It's sort of fine. Shang-Chi doesn't exist. Bad locations include TVA, because that really does just make her a 4/6 unless you've got a Wasp or Yellow Jacket. Or a Hammer. Because, I mean, maybe she'll kind of work well with Thor. Maybe let's say Thor. Probably more so Beta Ray Bill. Hey, E-Tree's out. Maybe that's something. And Tarnax 4, obviously the cards that you throw in there are going to get transformed and lose that +3 power that Galacta is given. And also just generally you don't want to stick Galacta into Tarnax. So, fine. Counters. Her counters include, of course, the ever mighty Shadow King, who is going to completely reduce down the buffs that she gives to other cards, naturally. Debris is going to be an interesting one because they know where you're playing, or there's going to be that extra element of predictability. They can slightly position their debris a bit more, so that's going to be valuable and dirty and gross. And Red Guardian is kind of a counter. Now, the likelihood that they actually save their Red Guardian this late is pretty low. And, excuse me, even just the likelihood of you having played Galacta on a location where you've got nothing else with lower power is kind of unlikely in itself. That being said, there is limited cards that can prevent Galacta's power and ability, and Red Guardian is one of them. So, or kind of the only, well, I guess Gambit's in there as well, but yeah, that's even less likely. Key synergies and deck ideas. So some of the key synergies that we haven't really discussed at all yet include Nico. Nico is a card that can double her own power, so that works well with Galacta, but also just getting duplicated effects or effects which work well alongside Galacta. So for example, if you Galacta on turn 4, you could theoretically play Nico, add a copy of something, and then a demon on a location which Galacta will affect, and that gives you a copy, that gives you a copy of a 9 power demon to use on the final turn, so that's really good. But that's just one example. Like I say, Nico herself can also double in power. Mr. Sinister's going to feel real sick with Galacta because that is a 10 power play, my friends. 2 + 3 duplicated. That's a plus. I just said it and immediately forgot. No, don't frame break me for that. That wasn't funny enough. Anyway, right. So moving on. Why are we still put me back in? MJ, if you're editing this, stop being a dickhead. Put me back in. Thank you. So yeah, Mr. Sinister's huge. Brood. Oh, it's a 315. Fine. So that's also insanely strong, and so you're starting to build up a bit of a picture for the Silver Surfer vibes here. We've also got Scarlet Spider. If you saw my recent ranting video, you actually would have seen me been playing a Scarlet Spider deck that entire video. So I absolutely, it goes without saying, I absolutely adore Scarlet Spider. So I am absolutely loving Galacta for Scarlet Spider. Now, that being said, of course, they are both the same cost. So it means you kind of have to hold off Scarlet Spider a bit longer, which I don't always like, but it might work. Black Panther. Wow, Black Panther coming out as an 8, doubling to 16. not bad. And Nimrod. Is this the new Shuri Nimrod? Is this the new Nimrod bloody symbiote Spider-Man? Hey, it's another option for that deck. Maybe it makes it a bit more consistent. It's a possibility. But the actual deck ideas I've got for you here, guys. Wow. How about this one? Surprise. Sorry, that was super creepy and weird. How about this one I got for you? Surprise Scream Surtur. This is kind of like mixing the Surtur package with cards like Aero and... Wait, there's no other 10 power cards in here. Yes, that's right, because we are going to try and give cards a +3 power via Galacta in order to make them count for Surtur. So we've got cards like Gladiator, which we hopefully want to make that happen for. We've also got Aranya, so you can prep that extra, and also Forge, so you can also hopefully do that as well, mixed in with some Scream and move disruption synergy like Spider-Man, and of course the Arrow and Polaris. So some of the lines here include Aranya into a Forge. On the final turn, this would have to be. You've previously played Aranya. You can then do Forge on turn 5 with Spider-Man. That would trigger Surtur. So that's cool. That's just an example of one thing you can do. And then your previous turns obviously hopefully included Scream and Surtur and Galacta. But of course, Aero just triggers Surtur alone. And don't forget, guys, if you do only get one trigger on Surtur, that is still a 3/7. It's not bad. And you've disrupted them. Hopefully, if you've got Scream out as well, you're knocking a bit of extra power off them. So this deck is kind of all about these very marginal balancing of extra powers and knocking off the power to just make you really strong overall. You're being a little bit disruptive to them, and they don't know what the hell's going on. This is going to be a really cool deck. I've also got Gwenpool in here because she also can boost up your cards to almost hit the 10 power, and then the Galacta can push them over the edge, or vice versa. I mean, Gwenpool could double hit Galacta herself, who could be a 10 power play on turn 5. Next up, Cosmic Waves. Now this was essentially inspired by Heart of the Cards on Discord. So again, another shout out to Discord. It was so as I say, Heart of the Cards is the person who I basically stole this off of. I mean, I slightly tweaked it and made it worse, to be honest. But anyway, we have got Agony in here because we've got cards like Brood and Absorbing Man. So hopefully we're actually going to be making up quite a lot of filled spaces with this deck, so that's why the Agony is in here. You're basically gonna run out of space because we've also got Lunar Snow in here, who is also going to cause extra clogging on your side and your opponent's side. But I feel like I'm getting a little bit carried away. Also, guys, Lunar Snow, we're going to be featuring her in Snapple Pass tomorrow. So again, if you're new, subscribe. Anyway, other buff cards like Fastos and Okoye, because this is, of course, basically just a classic Silver Surfer Buffy style deck. We've got Sebastian Shaw as another card to benefit from those duplicating effects. And we've also got, of course, Galacta in here. But we've got another way to ramp alongside Lunar Snow of Hope Summers. Because one of your crucial final turn plays is potentially going to be one of your 4-drops. Like, you really want to play either Absorbing Man or Galacta, which you might need to do on the final turn. That's why it's important that you have the extra energy from either Hope or Lunar Snow. There is an argument here that Agony could be swapped out for Zabu, or someone could be swapped out for Zabu because of the importance of playing your 4-cost cards. But I'll leave that decision in your capable thoughts. Finally, this Zoo deck I've got for you is Zoo Unleashed. This is all about buffing cards. So we've got cards that either buff themselves or get buffed. So Dazzler, Silver Sable, and that's all going to feed into your Gilgamesh. But basically, the line that you want to get with this is some sort of good, strong early game, Sable or Nico, whatever. You probably then want to play Dazzler into maybe a Patriot, because we've actually got some Patriot-style cards in here. Cards that benefit from Patriot is, of course, the Demon, the Sinister Clone, the Scarlet Spider Clone. And yes, I'm actually playing just core base Abomination, because I think that could be interesting. Playing it down on top of not on top of a Galacta, alongside a Galacta at another location, I think that's going to actually feel really strong. Maybe, anyway, I don't know, let me know if you think I'm being a bit copy. And then, of course, the Tiger from White Tiger. So quite a lot of Patriot stuff in here, and just quite a lot of stuff that benefits from being buffed, like Scarlet Spider, like Mr. Sinister. So there's some cool stuff in here, and yeah, I just thought it might be fun, and yeah, that's the end of the words I'm saying there. But I've got one extra bonus deck for you this time, which is Galactic Kitty. This is like a buff and ramp style deck. I mean, it's kind of basically a bit of a gimmicky deck. This is all about Kitty Pryde. So hopefully you get Kitty Pryde down on 1. You get Ravonna Renslayer on 2. Maybe Kyra on 3, or Hope or Luna on 3, because you want to basically be able to ramp, ideally one of the ramp cards actually, because you want to ramp into a turn 4, which is Galacta and Kitty. By this point Kitty is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kitty is 6. You can then, depending on what kind of ramp you did, you can then do a turn 5, which is Shuri, Kitty. Now Shuri will get the buff from Galacta, so it's not ideal, but this does give you a 12 power Galacta. On the final turn it means that you can then do, well, you've got options. You can either do a 15 power Kitty Pryde into a Taskmaster, so that feels pretty cool, or you've got other stuff crackulating along. You maybe you like another line could have been like a juiced up Kitty into Frigga, so you've got those options as well. You've also got other like weird backup plans like Black Panther. Like you could just have a very simple curve of Shuri, Black Panther, Taskmaster, for example, is one thing that you can do here, and maybe the rest of your turn was other thing. Let me talk about another funny line in here. Funny line. I feel this is going to. Sorry, it's like I've not got enough oxygen going to my brain. You also got a line of Sunspot, skip a couple of turns into Frigga. How about that? Probably shit. Anyway, that is what we got for that. I think something, maybe not the best deck, but Kitty might work. Star ratings. Overall, it's weird because I used to think this card gave +3 in both the other locations, so I had her as absolutely crazy. But as it stands, I think she's really good. I do think she's really good because of her flexibility and her power output. It is decent. It is strong. It is very good. So yeah, giving it 4 stars. I think within the archetypes she'll fit into, again, 4 stars. Seems very good. Fun, 3.5. I don't think it's insanely fun. I think it's just going to be fine. And competitive, I have given her 4 stars. I do think she'll be a competitive and good card. So ultimately, do I think you should get the season pass this month? Yes, of course. I mean, generally speaking, I always advise getting the season pass anyway. I think it's fairly good value. You get a lot of decent stuff for what you're paying if you enjoy the game, of course. I think this season pass card is very good, and I think the overall theme and style of the season looks good. So I think this is a good one. I think this is a good one, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned, because like I said, we will be delving into Lunar Snow in the next video, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.